Hey guys, Henry here at Macphee Ford, and today we're talking about two really special cars. Over 1,500 horsepower between the two of these bad boys. And that is, of course, our 2014 GT500 and the all-new 2021 GT500. Let's get into it. All right guys, without further ado, let's get into this, the 2014 GT500. And personally, this is my absolute dream car. 662 horsepower, 5.8 liter supercharged V8, and a beautiful 6-speed manual transmission. Let's hop inside, show you some of the cool features that came out in 2014. This thing was kind of ahead of its time, and we'll show you some of the features on the inside, do some exterior comparisons, do some exhaust comparisons, and then we'll get in and we'll show you the brand new 2021 GT500. Come on, meet me inside. All right guys, so we had some technical difficulties with the interior shots on the outside, so cars are now parked back in the showroom. So let's show you guys the interior on the 2014 and then we'll get into the 2021. So let's hop inside here. Okay guys, so on the inside of the 2014 GT500, we're gonna show you some of the similarities between the new one and some things that set this one apart as being the older model. So first off, you're gonna notice is these really, really comfortable bucket seats. Now I'm a bigger guy, I'm 6'4", I'm 270 pounds. I fit in this Mustang so much better than in the new ones. These are meant for the bigger American guys, you know, it's like driving a 600 horsepower couch. This thing is comfortable. But let's get in here, we'll show you this. This has the nice big nasty snake logo, Cobra on the seats. You got that white leather interior that fills, kind of matches with the racing stripe on the outside. And you do have a little bit of Alcantara on the outer edges of the seats, just to keep you in place a little bit better in case you find yourself sliding around if you're on a racetrack or on the drag strip. You want to be kept in the seat as tight as possible while still remaining very comfortable. Now guys, one of my favorite aspects of this car that the new GT500 doesn't offer, now I'm an old guy, I love a nice 6-speed manual transmission. Nice white cue ball, very short shifts, very crisp engagements, makes it so much easier. The clutch on this is actually very light, very easy to get used to. And the only thing that you gotta get used to really on this is how light the flywheel is and how quick the engine is to rev, but that comes with a supercharger. So come to the other side here, we'll show you some of the features that are kind of like the track apps that you see, launch control, all that good stuff. So we'll come around the other side, we'll set up over here, and we'll show you some of the features that were really ahead of its time back in 2014. Okay guys, so on the other side here, you have some really cool features. You know, your steering wheel, you have the Alcantara, leather top, metal sides, very, very easy to hold on to. And the Alcantara is nice if you're on a racetrack. Nice sweaty hands, it's not gonna get all loose and like you do on leather. Now on the side here, this is what I find really cool. So the LC obviously stands for launch control. You set the launch control on, you set it to 4,000 RPM, foot on the clutch, foot on the gas, rev it up. It's gonna stay at 4,000 RPM, drop the clutch. It's gonna help you get a better launch off the line. And this is one of the hardest cars to launch with the live rear end, with 662 horsepower and oodles of torque. This thing's got enough torque to rip you off, go sideways, make the world spin backwards if you want to too. Next up to the launch control button is your suspension dampening mode. There's two different settings, there's normal and there's sport. It stiffens the suspension, makes it a little bit more of an aggressive, realistically uncomfortable ride. Better for if you're on the racetrack, better handling, all that good stuff. And then you have your steering control. So this has electronic steering and it can change between sport, normal, and comfort. So you can have the more weighted steering or nice easier steering if you're driving around town. You don't want that big, heavy, kind of unassisted feel to the steering. And last thing to mention guys, this has traditional dials. You're saying, yeah, traditional dials, big deal. 21 doesn't, we'll get into that a little bit later on, but you can see on the dash, 360 kilometer an hour or 220 mile an hour top speed. Now the GT500 could never actually achieve that, but it was, aside from the first 2005 GT, Ford GT, the supercar with the mid-engine V8, this is the first production Ford to go above 200 miles an hour. So it'll go 202 on whatever Ford tested back in the day. It was 202 miles an hour, making it the fastest regular production Ford product on the market. Let's check out the 2021 GT500, show you the differences. Okay guys, inside the new 2021 GT500. Now you can see the seats. I don't like these seats. Like I said in the other one, a bit bigger of a guy. These seats are uncomfortable, to be honest with you. If you're a small guy, great. These seats are gonna hug you great. These dig into the sides. I digress. You can tell the differences between the seats where this one has the Alcantara running all the way through it, but you can also tell some similarities. They're still the Recaro bucket seats. They still have the snake on the headrest, and they still have this nice white leather. It's kind of a signature with Shelby's. So that's the seat. Moving into the center, and then we'll get into the gauge cluster a little bit later on, but you can tell there's no gear lever. It's a gear dial, 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Shifts about as fast as like a Lamborghini transmission, Ferrari, Porsche, all that. Shifts in the blink of an eye, operated by the paddles in the back here behind the steering wheel, and it shifts faster than I can shift with a manual, or faster than you can even think. So yeah, inside, Sync 3, we're all familiar with that. We're not getting into that. Plenty of videos on our YouTube channel showing Sync 3, but down below you do have your toggle switches that are kind of synonymous with the new Mustangs, the new body styles from 2015 and up. You have your traction control, your exhaust mode between normal, quiet, and straight pipe loud, absolutely absurd. In the middle, you also have your drive mode selector. We'll show you the different drive modes when we get to the other side. And like I mentioned, guys, the gear dial, you just put your foot on the brake and you spin it into drive. And then if you want to use the paddles, you can either pull the paddles and it goes into manual, or you can press the M and it goes into manual. So let's hop around the other side and we'll show you guys the screen and some of the other features on the steering wheel. All right, guys, so inside the 2021 GT500, we have the fully digital display. Now this is similar to a lot of the Mustang premiums that you get, different drive modes, shows you everything, one big screen. I kind of like it, it's very configurable. If you go through the different driving modes, it'll actually change the layout of the screen. So if you're in sport there, shows you a little bit bigger of a tachometer, speedometer is still on the side, but my favorite is definitely track, because as you can see, it changes everything. And your tachometer is big, because on a racetrack, the only thing you care about is when to shift. You're not worried about the speed. You're trying to set the fastest lap times. You're watching your tachometer, waiting to shift. Now, just like the 14 GT500, guys, this has launch control, this has adjustable suspension, and it has adjustable steering. But Ford, for 2021, they added everything onto the steering wheel. So when you're on a racetrack, it's a lot easier to flip through different options. You don't need to take your hand off the wheel. If you're driving along, your suspension control is right here and your steering's right below it. So that changes everything on the fly. Then of course you have your cruise control, your navigation settings, your different kind of settings to play around with all the features and all that stuff. But suspension and steering right on the steering wheel itself. And like I mentioned, guys, paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. You just keep pulling next gear after gear after gear, and it just keeps on going. So that's the differences between the interiors, some of the similarities. Now let's get on the outside and we'll show you some of the aerodynamic track features of this one versus the lack of aerodynamic and track features on the 14 GT500. Okay guys, so we're gonna start with the aerodynamic features and the styling differences between the 2021 and the 2014. So on the front, you can obviously tell this has the big aggressive splitter with the aero ducts. Makes it a little bit more aggressive, a lot more downforce than the 14. Come around to the side here, you have your brake ducts coming through the headlights. You have your ducts here to pass through air through the side of the body, keeps it away from underneath, gets that turbulent air out and away from the wheels, and runs along this nice carbon side skirt all the way down to the back, and it flicks it out past the back wheel, creating a little bit more downforce. To the back, unlike the 2014 GT500, this thing is meant to go as fast around a track as possible with the dual clutch transmission, the downforce, and of course, we couldn't mention the rear diffuser. So now this takes all the air from underneath the car, all that negative pressure, all that lack of downforce. It sucks it out through the back with the exhaust gases, and it shoots it up into the air, creating that extra downforce at the back. And then matched with the big massive rear wing, this creates a lot more downforce than the 2021 GT500, or the 2014 GT500, sorry. So this has a lot more downforce than the previous GT500, which was just a straight line car. This is meant to go around a track. So that being said, let's show you what the GT500 from 2014 lacks in terms of downforce. So let's go around this. All right guys, so coming around to the front of the 2014 GT500, you can tell right away that this has a lot less aerodynamic efficiencies than this. This has all your flicks and your scoops and your crazy high performance downforce stuff. This uses a 5.8 liter supercharged V8 just to push through the air. It's nice, big and square. You do have the little chin spoiler. Coming around to the side, you do have your SVT specific GT500 wheels, which I think They're one of the nicest looking wheels ever put on a vehicle. So I'm a little biased. This is my dream car, guys, like I mentioned. So I'm kind of geeking out. Along the side, there's no side skirts. There's none of that. There's no diffusers, no lips, no flicks, just all American horsepower. Around the back, just like the 2021 GT500, you do have your quad exhaust, which they sound wicked, the two of them. No diffuser on the back of this one. There's just a little itty bitty diffuser, nothing crazy like on the new one. And the only bit of downforce coming off the back is you have this little low rise spoiler with the gurney flap that just helps generate a little bit extra downforce. Okay guys, so that's gonna do it for the inside, outside kind of shots of the vehicle, differences, similarities, and all that stuff. So let's get outside and we'll finish up this video with the exhaust and the engine comparisons. All right guys, so those are the differences, interior and exterior on the 14 to 21 GT500s. Now let's talk about, obviously, what's under the hood, what makes these things go. Let's start on the 2021 GT500. So guys, under the hood of this, 5.2 liter cross-plane crank V8 with a massive supercharger on top. In a couple minutes, we're gonna do an exhaust rev and supercharger whine comparison, and I wanna see what you guys think sounds a little bit better, because my money's on that one. So yeah, like I mentioned guys, 5.2 liter V8 supercharged, 760 horsepower, driven to the rear wheels through a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Over here guys, 2014 GT500, 5.8 liter supercharged V8. As you can see, it's got the big 5.8 logo on it. Ford doesn't want you to know this is just a regular, this isn't just your regular 5-liter V8. No, it's got the blue top on it, Ford Performance, Ford Racing. All their valve covers have been blue, dating back to the original Shelby Daytonas, the Shelby 427s, all that good stuff. Now guys, let's fire these up. Let's have an exhaust rev comparison with a couple cold starts. And of course, let's listen to the superchargers underneath the hood. All right guys, just like that, that's gonna do it for today's video. Again, Henry McDonald at Macphee Ford. This 2021 GT500, unfortunately, it's sold. Give me a call, 902-441-9022. We can order you one of these. Unfortunately, we can't order you one of these, the 2014. I would if I could, but I can't. So guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.